I think we're finally getting over the hype of AI and getting closer to figuring out how exactly did it change our jobs. Chapter 1. The Death of Vibe Coding. When AI became popular, the first thing that came to everyone's mind was ChatGPT, or maybe building instant apps with 1 or 2 prompts. I personally tried to build a to-do list, and that kind of backfired. You can check out my videos about trying vibe coding because I'm not trying that again. Back then, there were talks about AI replacing us all, and yet, here we are. This was mind-blowing because that was something that we never had before, but something has changed. So let's figure out together what and why. After the first impression of a wow effect has faded, we are faced with the reality. And the reality is our products are very complex. If you think about how real products work, the actual coding and implementation part is not the biggest part of it. We have to figure out, what do we want? How do we make money off of it? What features do we add? How do we configure it? How do we build different parts of the system? There is a lot that comes into a product that is not related to coding or implementation at all. And yes, you can replace developers with AI, but you will spend the same, if not more, amount of time trying to figure out the requirements, translate them into the prompt. There are so many parts that go into building a product, and AI honestly didn't solve any of them. Chapter 2. AI is too powerful to go away. It would be pretty stupid to deny how important AI is. It can solve the same problems that we can solve, but way faster. Maybe not as precise, but faster. It's also pretty amazing and giving us a lot of ideas so we can build our own stuff off of it. And it's getting better and better. The models are improving every single day, and they're getting better at things that previously were the bottlenecks, such as understanding the large code base or reasoning and thinking and verifying their own responses. At this point, for me, AI feels like electricity or the internet. Once it's introduced, it's not really going to go away, right? But if we cannot create an Airbnb clone using AI, what is it for then? Chapter 3. A tool. I've already said multiple times that coding is not the big part of my work. It's maybe 20%, while the other 80% are the problems that we discussed in Chapter 1. It's the communication, it's the requirements, it's figuring out what to do, it's testing, iterating on what we've built, and making decisions. Not even talking about taking responsibility there, that doesn't take time, just nerves. And these parts, although sometimes enhanced by AI, they didn't change much. The real change is that coding and even reading documentation is no longer necessary. And I want to emphasize the word necessary, because what I mean is it's no longer necessary to build it from scratch. It's way more time efficient to let AI build you this boilerplate of code for your feature, and then you test it, you figure out what's wrong, you fix what's missing, you read the documentation about the things that AI used and you didn't know of, and this is basically agile on steroids, just in a micro level. I think the closest thing that comes to my mind when I think about AI and coding is how we went from assembler to C, then to Java, and now to AI. The level of complexity is abstracted away, and we can focus on a bigger picture. And if you think about it, there is always a chance that we need to go deeper. When you use Java, the memory is managed for you. Does it mean that you don't have to worry about how memory is allocated at all? No, because if you have a memory leak problem, you would have to investigate it and go deeper. And in this case, the fundamental knowledge is something you can rely on. Do you need to do it every day? No. Does everybody need to do it? No. But you do need to know foundations to be good. And it's the same with AI. At some point, people with less technical expertise can write code, but does it mean that people who know how to code properly are not needed anymore? No, because somebody has to debug the issues. Because of course, AI can debug and find the problem for you, but it's not going to take responsibility for the fix. And responsibility is kind of a big thing nowadays. So in a way, I would say that the coding part is replaced by the guiding part. It's almost like adding a framework to make something easier. You're adding the AI framework of tools or whatever it's evolving into. You don't have to think about all the underlying complexity, and you can think about the top level of it. We're abstracting some of the difficulty by letting AI figure it out. If you think about it, implementation is no longer a bottleneck, but thinking is. And as much as I want to think that it's going to make us more productive and happier, I think the reality is we're just going to burn out faster because thinking is the hardest part of the job. And now we've got more of it. Chapter 4. The future. But while coding assistants that write code for you is incredibly useful nowadays, and it's a big change in our careers that we need to adjust to, this is not the future. This is just the beginning. I think the real change is coming from the infrastructure. We are quite close to AI being integrated into our very lives. By the way, I'm throwing all of the terms here, and if you're really interested in what I'm actually doing with AI and you want to hear some tips and tricks about how to use it, you can subscribe to my newsletter because I have one now. Or, you could just read it on Substack without subscribing. The MCP servers are becoming more and more popular. We are yet to see the rise of A2A protocols or agent-to-agent communication, but I think in the very near future, we're going to be operating with a network of agents communicating with each other. I don't know if that's going to happen soon. I don't know what kind of impact it's going to bring. All I can think of is we are kind of turning into engineering managers instead of pure developers. Because if you think about it, a manager doesn't write code. It guides the programmers to write code for the managers. And this is basically what we're doing right now with the code. And it's very tempting to think that we're going to be able to accomplish more. But think about human managers. They're always trying to limit the scope because there is a very limited amount of information a human mind can comprehend, at least with good quality. That's why we have teams and departments and hierarchical structure, because it helps. And if now you need hundreds or thousands of developers to do the job, adding AI will not eliminate them. It may slightly reduce the number of engineers, hopefully, if AI doesn't completely wreck your code, but humans are still needed to take the responsibility. And I keep saying this because it's crucially important for the industry. Anybody can write an app, but when you start selling your app to real customers and taking money for it, you're assuming the responsibility that this app will work. And I'm not even talking about selling something to big companies, to enterprises. And you cannot let AI build this code for you because there is definitely no trust in AI, and I don't see it happening in the near future. So yeah, at some point, maybe we're going to become some kind of guiding developers and managers of AI, just telling our network of agents what to do. Is it good? Is it bad? I don't know. Are we doomed? Are we gloomed? We're gonna just have to wait and see. I am so looking forward to making an update to this video next year just to see how things changed and whether my predictions were correct or not. So subscribe to the channel so you don't miss it in a year. I think it's the worst call to action I could have made, but here we go. And I'll see you guys in the next video.